An unclassic road trip in central Arizona? Well, it all starts near the town of Casa Grande. Swing by Coolidge, where you can visit the 472-acre Casa Grande Ruins National Monument. In 1892, President Benjamin Harrison set aside 1 square mile in Arizona territory surrounding the Hohokam archaeological ruins as the nation's first archaeological preserve. There are 60 Indian sites preserved at the park, with the focal point being the circa 650 4-story caliche structure known as Casa Grande. Jesuit priest Father Eusebio Francisco Kino named it in 1694. Guests are allowed to walk through it and Compound A. The Hohokam culture flourished a millennium in the Sonoran Desert. Casa Grande was built of approximately 6 million pounds of caliche. Caliche is clay, sand, and calcium carbonate. In 1932, the Park Service constructed an enormous metal shelter over the crumbling Casa Grande for protection against further destruction. Travel across America with me. Notable expeditions that journalize the ruined site include Lieutenant Colonel Juan Bautista de Anza. You'll want to watch my video on the slot. It is located in the fabulous California State Park called Anza Borrego. And there's archaeologist and historian Adolf Bandelier. And Bandelier, well, the national monument near Los Alamos in New Mexico is named after him. You'll want to go there, and you'll want to watch my video on New Mexico's national parks. What a great video, very informative, and a must for anyone visiting the wonderful state of New Mexico. And then, notable expeditions, continuing on that, were also led by Brigadier General Stephen Watts Kearny, and anybody who has traveled through Nebraska knows about Brigadier General Stephen Watts Kearny. This is a really exciting site, and speaking of exciting things, I want to tell you that you need to hang on to the end of this video because there are 2 other really cool things that you need to see while you're in Casa Grande area. One is in Casa Grande, and that is kind of a little nighttime treat, and then the other is in nearby Florence. Hang on so you can watch those clips of previous videos I've put up on those 2 stops that you'll want to make when you're visiting Casa Grande National Monument. But now, a little bit more about Casa Grande National Monument. In the 1700s and early 1800s, only a trickle of travelers came by the Casa Grande. First, Spanish explorers and then Mexican and American travelers wondered who built this ruin and why. More people visited after 1879 when the railroad first reached the town of Casa Grande, which is 19 miles away. And remember, you want to hang on so you can see what fun thing you can do in Casa Grande. And there's also a great campground there too. Travelers scratched their names into the walls, and some took away artifacts, even pieces of the walls, as souvenirs. I can see that, but I'm glad they protected it, so you can't do that anymore. In 1889, Congress voted to protect Casa Grande ruins from further vandalism and looting. They voted to pay for clearing away debris and repairing the eroded foundations. That was awesome. I'm so glad they did. The wooden beams and metal rods you see today were installed in 1891. Wow! To brace up some of the walls. 3 years later, the federal government made Casa Grande the nation's first archaeological preserve, as I mentioned earlier. It was a Jesuit missionary, explorer, and mapmaker, Eusebio Francisco Kino. I know I'm butchering his name, sorry. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. He was the first European to see and document these ruins in 1694. Father Kino, which that's a lot easier to say, called the building Casa Grande, Spanish for Great House. Oh, wait till you see the clock in Florence. You'll want to hang on. Don't forget to hang on. Just a little bit more information about these ruins. And this is the funny thing. If you've watched a number of my videos, you'll see that this is a common thread. Archaeologists don't know for sure, I bet. Its original purpose remains a puzzle. Here, there are still more questions than answers. If you're interested in these types of structures and this type of architecture that has mystery surrounding it, you might want to watch my video on the Cahokia Mounds. Just like this, there are more questions than answers. Was this an ancient astronomical observatory? Perhaps. Why do the walls line up north, south, east, west? Well, this just sounds just like Cahokia. Well, that's unknown. I don't think it's unknown. They were using it as a sky clock. We can still observe the sun and moon line up with certain holes in the wall before you. Year in and year out. Were sacred ceremonies held here? Did a leader who oversaw the all-important irrigation canals work inside these rooms? Did an influential family or clan call the Casa Grande their home? All mysterious and no answers. We can only speculate. What we can do is enjoy this splendid architecture and be grateful it's being protected? The answers remain unknown, and the Casa Grande likely served many purposes and many functions. Why do you think the ancient Sonoran Desert people built this impressive multi-story building? Your guess is as good as anyone else's. But a little more about the observatory status? During the summer solstice, sunlight lines up through this small hole at sunset on the longest day of the year. That's neat. Spring and fall equinoxes. The rising sun lines up with twin openings in the top floor of the Casa Grande each March and September. We need to make a note to go there in March or September, right? I might be there in March. I'll have to run out there. I'll let you know. A very rare lunar event. The sun stands still in the sky twice every year at solstices, and the moon stands still in the sky only once every 18.6 years. This hole marks that lunar event. Farming societies in many parts of the ancient world worked out ways to track the seasons. The Casa Grande also has features that can be used to accurately mark the time of year. Well, of course, many of these types of observation abilities are found in these types of ruins throughout the Southwest. And as I mentioned, at the Hohokam Mountains that are just east of St. Louis. You'll find them near Collinsville, Illinois. But now to our extra little treats. One in Florence and one back at Casa Grande. Fake clock in Arizona, when time stands still, is demonstrated in Florence at the 2nd Pinal County Courthouse. The historic structure is simply gorgeous. When the 2nd Pinal County Courthouse in the town of Florence was completed on February 2nd, 1891, including a pretty clock tower, there were not enough funds to install working clocks on each side. To fix the peril, clock facings with the time set at 11:44 were added instead. The American Victorian building was completely renovated, and of course, the frozen-in-time clock facings were redone the same way for posterity's sake. The 1891 Pinal County Courthouse renovation was completed, and the ribbon cutting and dedication ceremony occurred on December 19th, 2012. Go see this beautiful structure. Traveling between Phoenix and Tucson and needing to stretch your legs? Take the exit for Casa Grande. Welcome to the Neon Sign Park. Keep in mind that this space has been designated as an outdoor museum. You are the guest of Casa Grande Main Street and Casa Grande Valley Newspaper, Inc. You are on private property. Be respectful, but enjoy the park. There are informative signs a part of every display, including this quaint mural. How about the Casa Grande Photo Shop, Arizona Edison, Ralph's Cafe, and of course, the Horseshoe Motel. Do they have a vacancy or not? I think they have a vacancy. And DQ fans, you'll love the Dairy Queen sign, and especially this drive-through cone. Don't you just love those cones from Dairy Queen? I do. The tacos aren't bad either. It was so clever, they made park benches out of pickup truck tailgates. GMC, Chevrolet, Ford, Dodge Ram, they didn't leave anybody out, did they? They didn't leave out any American-made, did they? We returned that evening to see all the signs aglow. Have you subscribed yet? And leave a comment and any suggestions on something you would like me to feature. Flip-flops on the ground. Unclassic road trip.